Hello everyone, this is Mr. Brass, and today we'll be talking about medieval science and some of its notable figures. Medieval science would reach its peak in France with 14th century French philosopher John Buridan being one of its brightest. John stands out amongst others I've discussed as he didn't train to be a theologian, and he didn't join the Dominicans or Franciscans. He was a master of logic and studied it extensively, and was a nominalist with an empirical bent. He rejected Aristotle's theory of natural and violent motion, with his theory of impetus, which was a quality in which a body moves. He had believed that unless something acts on an object, it will stay that way. John also suggested that the Earth might be turning. His theory of the impetus is similar to what we call inertia, but not quite, as John did think that the planets would keep moving in circles, and never extended his principle to a straight line. John's student, Nicole Orsini, a theologian and bishop, would extend on the notion of the Earth turning. He would challenge Aristotle's law that different kinds of motions are contrary by using Buridan's example of an arrow to show that a fired arrow will simultaneously move naturally with the rotation of the Earth. Now Nicole would read the Bible and he would use that to tell him that the Earth isn't moving, and he would settle on Aristotle's theory. Nicole's work, though, would make compelling arguments the idea of a turning Earth. Sadly, the bubonic plague came about and wiped out a great number of the people of Europe, and thus would naturally lead to a decline in science till the 15th century, when technological progress would begin again. Next we have Nicholas of Cusa, who was a 15th century German philosopher. He was educated at the University of Padua and was made a cardinal in 1448 at the age of around 48, which of course meant that he had to get involved with all the church politics. He'd write a book entitled On Learned Ignorance, which taught about discovering truths about God based on what we can't know. He argued the earth couldn't be at the center because the universe would have to reflect God's majesty, which it would have to be limitless then, and from there goes on to say that the earth was just another star and that alien life forms could exist elsewhere in the universe. Nicholas also helped the groundwork for what we would call modern science, as he proposed a method in his work on measuring which sought to combine the philosophy and mathematics by using exact standards of measurement. He wouldn't actually be able to perform these experiments, though, because of his church politics that he had to engage in. Lastly, we have Johann Gutenberg, who was a 15th century German printer who is considered the father of the printed book for his innovation. He didn't invent print, as that has its origins in the Far East, but he made books so much easier to make. Before him, it was commonplace to use animal hides, which were expensive. Johann made the movable metal type, an ink that adhered to paper and didn't smudge, and adapted an old-fashioned wine press so he could bring the type and paper together under pressure. The Bible he made in 1455, however, is what truly showed the potential of his work. Well, that is all for today. This is Mr. Brass saying goodbye and get wise.